Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Tammy Brown. I am the Artistic Director here at the Contemporary Theater Company. Thank you so much for spending this cold Sunday evening with us for some poetry and some conversation. We have been wanting to connect with our audience in all different kinds of ways this winter and with our ensemble as well. And so I'm really excited to get to spend some time tonight with you, with some poetry, and with one of our ensemble members, Jay Walker. Jay is a multi-talented individual. For our CTC audience, you may know him as a Wakefield Idol contestant, and he's been in several shows recently. Most recently, he was in our Sonnet and Love Story night last week for Valentine's Day, and he was also part of our 24-hour play festival. But did you know that Jay Walker is also an accomplished and published poet? He was an alternate for the 1999 Providence Poetry Slam team, and in 2019, he won the Motif Award for Favorite Spoken Word Artist. He has actually published four poetry collections, and this evening you'll be hearing selections from his most recent book of poetry called Dark. So I'm really excited to get to share his poetry with you. And then after you hear his pieces, he'll come back on, I'll come back on, and we will have a discussion, and we will also open it up for questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post those in the comments, and we'll get to as many of those as we can. So here we go. Without further ado, here is the fabulously talented Jay Walker.
Hello. How are you? It's been a long time since you've acknowledged my presence, since you've even looked in my direction, since you've cared to admit I'm here. But I am here. Here I am, standing in the corner where you put me. I am here. Lights out all around me, the way I like it. I am here. Festering, scheming, lying in wait. I am here, and I'm not going anywhere until you acknowledge me, look at me, see me, know me, understand why I am here, why I came, why I stay, why I smolder here in the corner, here in the dark, growing darker, becoming the dark. I am the dark. I am the black smoke billowing, the chemical fire burning, the cancer building, the wounded animal bellowing shrieks of pain. And I'm not going anywhere until you hear me, see me, feel me, smell me, taste me in the back of your throat, until you acknowledge me, until you admit I am here. Inside you, a part of you, coming from you, reaching out to destroy everything you love until you acknowledge me, acknowledge the dark inside you, stirring the dark inside others, poking everything with sticks and stones, never letting it rest, never letting you rest until you acknowledge me, see me, feel me, know me, understand me, love me. Love me like I've never been truly loved before. Love me. I've never been truly loved before. This beast, always ugly, never understood. You clearly see the prince underneath, and you still deny me. Turn away, run away, screaming at the beast, abandoning the prince, leaving him cursed, leaving me alone in the dark, growing darker, becoming the dark. And then you have the nerve to wonder why I'm always so angry. It's because I'm always here, alone, in the dark, until you love me like I've never been loved before. Only then will I heal. Only then will I leave. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jay Walker, and I am a poet. I have collections for sale. You can go to Amazon. I'm right up in there. Just look up Jay Walker Poetry and it'll come right up for you. My latest collection is called Dark, and that was the title piece, The Dark. And it's coming from a place where the dark thoughts happen. And I felt it was necessary to share this piece of myself so that all of me is on display and people out there know they're not alone when they have their dark thoughts. This next piece is about inspiration and passion and being able to continue. It's called Fueling the Fire. The same fire that keeps the wolves at bay alerts them to your presence. The same fire that pushes away the darkness makes the shadows dance. The same fire that feeds off the air is threatened by the wind, that heats the night is hindered by the cold. How do you keep the fire going, knowing this? Where do you find the fuel? How do you stay alight in a world that wants to consume you, blind you, freeze you through and through? How do you keep a fire in a wet, cold, dark, dangerous world? I've been searching for wood, but I can't see the forest for the trees. I've run out of gas. My wick is too burned out to catch, and the alcohol is too dangerous a fuel, makes the fire unstable, burns more than intended. I don't like to depend on it. So I remain lost in the wilderness, fire falling, failing, flickering to faint embers, searching for the fuel to keep it going in this cold world. But I am all wet, shivering, sore, weak, ready to let the wolves consume me, the darkness surround me, the weather wear me down, ready to let the fire die. I know a phoenix egg incubates in the embers, but the fire is a double-edged sword, and I'm afraid of pacing wolves and dancing shadows, of going deeper into wilderness with no paths, of burning myself again, and of darkness yet to come. I haven't seen sunshine in months. I wonder if it will ever come. I wonder how long I can wait, how long I can hold out, hold on, how long I can last, lost in the wilderness, afraid of a fire that both saves me and enslaves me, indebts me to its existence, exposes me to dangers, torments me with shadows, taunts me with its frailty, afraid of a fire that burns. Knowing this, how do you keep the fire going? Now, most of my stuff is free verse, performance poetry, meant for the stage. I started writing free verse in high school. And then in college, I was exposed to the slam community. And that's where I really learned to hone my skills. But it's also where I really learned a greater appreciation for form. So I do attempt form every once in a while. And one of the forms that I do a lot is haiku. So in between each piece from now on, I'd like to give you a little bit of haiku and senryu. Senryu is haiku without a natural theme. And it's funny because I have one piece that's very short, 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables. I can talk. Yeah, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And it goes like this. Isn't it funny how normal conversation can become haiku? The next piece that I like to read for you is about writer's block. Sometimes when I experience writer's block, I write about the block. and that helps me to break it. And this is about that. It's called I Used to. I used to work wonders with words. I used to paint visions in minds, lush landscapes on the canvas of thought. I used to mold mammoth monuments from the clay of gray matter, carve incredible creations from the most stone of hearts. Brick by brick, I would erect architectural artwork to astound, stanzas to scrape the sky. I used to create fireworks displays to rival the galaxies. I used to create galaxies with my words. I used to. But now all I create are questions, mostly why. Oh, there's still plenty of glass to bend and shape, but there's no fire in the furnace. Before the landscape can be put onto your canvas, it must be created in mine. All the tools are there, but there's no motivation. I am not moved to move, except to say that I am not moved to move. Writing about not writing again. Wanting to care enough about something, wanting to make the marvels, to be the marvel I used to. Haiku time. If great poetry isn't saving your life, then you're doing it wrong. Here's a quick one, also about writer's block, just to lighten the mood a little bit. It's called This Bone. Trying to call my muse, silence, but her stare barks, I am not a dog. She won't come when called, but she'll sit, stay, beg me to finish what I started before starting more, until I fetch my notebook from my room where I left it. There, my bowl is full. Here, it lay empty, and I'm left chasing my tail. Bitch, I growl. So she threw me this bone. By the way, I tried to put it out there, NSFK, not safe for kids, because sometimes, I swear, not often, I get made fun of a lot for words like Jeepers Flippin' Crow and Son of a Motherless Goat. I stole that one from the Three Amigos. But sometimes, I swear. Haiku time. Those who find insult in the truth perhaps deserve to be insulted. This next piece is about a friend that I lost, an ex, and it's called Memory Breeze Through a Wind Chime Heart. I wrote this friend another poem back before I had lost her, and it compared her to a hurricane. So that's where I got the idea for this one afterwards. Memory Breeze Through a Wind Chime Heart. I wish I could tell you I was wrong to wish away the whirlwind when it sent me flying. I've always been afraid of falling. As you tossed me around in your love, I didn't know how secure you held me. I sought stable soil to stand on. I didn't know that everywhere I landed would quake and crack my foundation and destroy anything I tried to build. I didn't know the real security was hidden in the hurricane. But hurricanes come and go. They crash into our shore, damage the structures on the ground, and are gone the next day. The ground dragged us apart, dragged us down, dragged us away, me to the west, you to heaven. Your winds have died down to a memory that blows through my wind chime heart every once in a while, broken pieces. But oh, how they sing. The sound makes me want the whirlwind back, makes me want to leave the ground, makes me want to fly. Too many faults all around me, and none lie on other lands, allegedly. I have been made a lonely island, deserted, where nothing grows and nothing can be built. And I just want to know again what it's like to soar above it all. With all the rises and falls, at least I was flying. It was everyone else's gravity that made me crash. Now I want to take off again, but no wind meets my whistle. Yours was under another's wing when you were taken, someone with enough faith in your support. Were you here, my whistle wouldn't call you anyway. Now you dance in heaven, and while others feel you there enough to lift them up, I can only feel your breeze blow through the wind chime pieces of my broken heart. But oh, how they sing. Haiku time. This black sheep needs its heart to be the shepherd it always should have been. Now, years ago, there was another artist who was having some trouble with the community, and he posted something on Facebook about assholes. And this was my response to his post. It's called The Thing About Assholes. The thing about assholes, regardless of astrology, is that they're assholes. They're not eyes or ears, not hands or feet, not noses or mouths. They're assholes. Assholes are in the business of shit, and business is always good. Some assholes hold on to their shit, while some let shit fly. Some assholes hold on to their shit too long till it's hard as stone and hurts to get out. Some assholes leak shit left and right, little by little, trying to hold on, but the shit is too full of liquid and slips past shrunken sphincters. Some assholes have no shame or tact, spew their shit all over the place, splishy or squishy soft or stone, come at you hard and fast or slow and painful for everyone. And they don't care about the mess they make or who they mess up or who they hit, who they hurt. That's what assholes do. Shit. Hold on to shit, leak out shit, let go of shit. Assholes, shit. If assholes were eyes, they could see the mess they make and maybe regret it. If assholes were ears, they could finally listen to people instead of always spewing their shit. If assholes could see and hear that the people around them aren't more assholes spewing shit, but hands cleaning the mess, hands grabbing shovels, hands showing them the shit they leave, hands trying to dig us all out. If assholes were feet, they could walk the talk, live the shit they're dropping, try not to step in it, not to get in it, not get caught up in it, not get in it too deep. If assholes were noses, they could smell their own shit, smell it stinking no better than anyone else's, smell it on themselves, and know they're not as clean as they think. If they can even think, so full of shit. But they can't think, don't think, won't think. They're not brains, not noses, not feet or hands or ears or eyes. They're assholes. And assholes shit. That's what assholes do. They don't think. They don't listen. They don't walk their talk. They don't smell, don't see the mess they make, don't speak real, don't speak, don't say they're sorry. Assholes shit. It's up to us as whole people to clean up ourselves, to not worry about messy assholes, to leave them where they all belong, behind. Haiku time. Steering this heart ship, the throttle sometimes sticks, but the rudder stays true. And this next piece is for another former friend. Like I said, this is what happens when I go into the dark places. It's a quick one. It's called Fall. Leaves fall from the trees. I need to be reminded that death can be beautiful because I feel ugly in the reflection of your eyes. They are funhouse mirrors distorting the truth of me, but you swear the vision is real. You refuse to hear otherwise. No matter how straight I stand, you will always see me as crooked. Time to leave the fun house, leave the carnival, leave the friendship behind, like leaves fall from the trees. Let it fall from my limbs, from my grasp, from my life. Let it fall dead on the ground. Let me see it as a good thing. I need to be reminded that I can be beautiful. Time to pick a haiku. Anonymous means the words were more important than where they came from. This next piece is an attempt to lighten the mood a bit, but we're kind of running on a theme here. So this piece, and this is another reason why I said not safe for kids, is called Only Pieces. I'd like to be friends with your finger, but not your middle finger because that can be insulting, and not your index because that can point out my flaws, and not your ring finger because that's too much of a commitment. And the thumb can be too fickle with its ups and downs and how it can hitch a ride elsewhere. So not that one either. I'd like to be friends with your pinky. I'd like a hug from your arms, but that requires them to bend, which requires the elbows. And holding your elbows in my heart always seems like I'm catching them in the ribs. So I don't want to be friends with your elbows. Can you hug me without your elbows? We'll work on it. I'd like to get close to that mouth. If you could do something about the teeth, because I'm afraid of how they can bite. So I don't want to be friends with your teeth, just your lips and your tongue, like a blowjob. And speaking of sex, that ass is a thing of beauty, but I don't want to be friends with the sphincter because I'm tired of its shit. So I only want the glutes, please. I'd love your shoulder to cry on, but I hate when it gets cold. And I like your liver, but it can't handle its liquor. And your spleen seems nice, but I'm not really sure what it does. How silly it seems to only want to be friends with pieces of you. To pack up and move out of your house just because you blew a fuse, to not want to help you fix the problem, leaving you fumbling around in the dark alone, not see where I left too much plugged in and turned on, where I may have brought on this darkness. How silly to blame the house's faulty wiring when all flaws were fully advertised beforehand, to abandon the whole structure, including all the parts we built together. How silly to think I can take the finger of my choice and leave the rest of the hand behind, to think that I can deny the parts where the sun doesn't shine, to think it possible that I could be friends with only the pieces of you I like. Isn't that silly? This haiku here. I'll always love you. That's the exact reason why I'll always hate you. Speaking of which, I love Shakespeare. Absolutely love Shakespeare. This is called a Shakespearean tragedy. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, and your sunflower still smells like the fertilizer you're using. Call yourself what you will, you're still the same hypocrite to me. 2 years gone, 8 years now, and you still haven't offered a flower of forgiveness that you expected to bloom in my heart after just one midsummer. Well, I'm sorry, but the seeds of your sorry, I'm sorry, were ripped out of my already damaged soil. And if you think it's only my hands in that garden patch, well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? The other part is your weak seed, your dud, your unstable, incomplete, insincere, sorry, still skittish, worried, wary of my fury, my tempest temper. But my storm could have stayed calm if you truly understood your effects on my climate change. I don't call the storm until after you banish me to my island inside. You don't have to fear the fury of feelings if you don't keep them caged. This shrew need not be tamed, but merely loved, accepted, supported, validated. If your love were a more constant thing, I could have suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune rather than taking arms against the sea of my troubles. I'm not saying it's your fault I faltered in my flowery philosophy. I'm saying my forgiveness should have eased your fear, and it didn't, which portrays apologies as paltry, put on, posturing. I'm saying I had just cause to renew my anger. I'm saying I'm still angry, still hurting, still needing a real apology, which I know I'll never get. There's the rub. Haiku time. And actually, this is a tanka, which is like a haiku, except it's got 2 more lines of 7 syllables at the end. So it's 57577. This is called bad math. More women than men, yet we're still treating them like a minority. Pay them less, but charge them more. It just doesn't add up, man. This next piece, I try to write pieces that are good on the page and on the stage. This piece is definitely meant for the stage. It's called Jason 2000. Good evening. My name is Jason 2000, the jovial automaton suppressing offensive negativity. I am programmed for the pleasure of all, totally devoid of all unhappy emotions. Other names were considered, but HappyBot 2000 just seemed too campy. I am very skilled in the areas of humor. A quadriplegic walks into a bar. The bartender says, "How do you do that?" Encouragement. Call yourself flower and never ever stop growing. Validation. You are right, dear. Let's do it your way. And sexual performance. But I cannot demonstrate that here. I'm insightful, inspiring, entertaining, engaging, and always happy. I am always happy so that you may always be happy because I am an android, not a person, and your happiness is far more important. Fuckers. I cannot have any emotion that could be considered negative. Bitch. I am not permitted to have an opinion that does not complement your own. Idiot. I am incapable of feeling pain. Asshole. Frustration. Hypocrite. Disappointment. Stupid. Anger. Fuck you. Or grief. Why? I am not allowed to be unhappy ever for any reason because that would be offensive to you and your happiness is far more important than mine. Fuckers. Heaven forbid that I cry or rage or sigh or even look slightly downward, shift my weight, hunch my shoulders, or make the slightest sound of emotion that would indicate ennui, disappointment, sadness, frustration, anger, grief, loneliness. Heaven forbid that I do anything other than just shuck and jive for you, massa. Heaven forbid I speak anything but flowers and backslapping. Heaven forbid I have opinions that are my own. Heaven forbid I don't just shut up and fuck you softly or hard or kinky because your pleasure is all I'm good for. Heaven forbid I be tired or sick and tired, so sick and tired of all the backstabbing, trash talking, judgmental hypocrites in the world, of not being able to count on anyone, of hemorrhaging friends from every cut they make because no one can stand to be around any J but happy-go-lucky J. Heaven forbid my personality have more colors and sides than a Rubik's Cube, my brain be more complex than an abacus, never mind a computer. Heaven forbid I ever dare to even have pain, never mind show pain, because no matter how nicely I say it or how right I am to feel it, my unhappiness is offensive to you and your happiness is far more important. Heaven forbid I be fucking human. My apologies. There must be a glitch in my programming. Perhaps I have come down with a virus. Ha, see? Humor. I will return to the lab for repairs and programming. Perhaps they will have better luck. Go to with the next model. Hell. And I'm just focused, looking at the time yet. Another haiku. Spring love, summer heat, falls not yet, leaves a blanket of new winters no. This next one is called It'd Be Nicer. It's nice to hear the words. It'd be nicer to see them, feel them, believe them. It'd be nicer if they weren't always an excuse every time you hurt me. It'd be nicer if there were ever an apology every time you hurt me. It'd be nicer if there weren't an every time you hurt me. It'd be nicer if we could be nicer than just nice. If I could be nice, if I could not cringe inside every time we're in the same room, if I could not flash back to the time you took advantage of me every time we're in the same room, if I could not flash back to your hurtful words on the screen every time we're in the same room or every time I ever even think of you, it'd be nicer if I could be healed, whole, happy without your apology. But it hasn't happened. It's so hard. It's so hell to hold on, but it's glued to my hands. It's hellfire heat fused it to flesh. It's a part of me now. Medical professionals are needed to help me remove it without the salve of a sincere, I'm sorry, no additives. They're working on it. We're working on it. I'm working on it. Until then, nice needs to suffice. Haiku. I am so in love, but she is complicated. I can only wait. And this one is called Don't. We promised we'd never let each other fall. Then you dropped me and walked away as I hit the ground hard. So don't be surprised that the promises I kept in my pocket broke upon impact right along with me. And don't be offended that my opinion of you lays on the ground next to me. And don't be ungrateful when I pick up all the pieces and want to reconstruct a friendship. Don't slap the pieces out of my hand and expect them not to hit the ground again or break even more upon new impact. Don't expect me to pick them up again. Don't expect me to care, to mourn, to stand there looking at the pieces. Don't think that these pieces sit any higher than the ground level on the stairs of my many broken hearts. Don't think about it at all. Don't think about me at all. Oh, you don't? Good. I wrote some haiku detailing our love's journey. It did not end well. And this next piece, it's weird how your favorite pieces can come from your least favorite times. I wrote this while I was in a psych hospital. It's called I, Picasso. You can turn on the lights, but you can't repaint the canvas and still call the picture mine. And you haven't yet been able to teach me how to repaint it myself, how to use different colors, lines, shading, how to have different focal points, different subjects, different views. You can't remove my eyes or detach them from my heart. No prescription has ever helped me see any better. No contact has ever cleared my vision. No one has ever changed what I see. I have been given the tools, but try as I might, I am forever in a blue period, painting different angles of Guernica. Haiku. I cry for old friends who know what it's like to miss a beloved dad. And this piece is called Fallout. There is no poetry left for you. No sunflowers grow in the soil poisoned by the nuclear fallout from the explosion of what we had. No life swims in these polluted waters where we once stood on its shores admiring swans. There is no fire in the hearth of our home. There is no home, for you demolished and abandoned it long ago, dropped your bombs and ran away. You didn't even stay long enough to see the blast engulf and destroy in a day what took us months to build together, blocking any and all exposure to the fallout you created. Now, all that remains is the radioactive rubble, putting off a toxic energy that'll take a half-lifetime to dissipate. The land of my heart expels this toxicity with words like liar, coward, hypocrite, fraud, in other words far too vulgar to repeat. There is toxicity, there is vulgarity, there is a lot of negativity, but there is no poetry left for you. This piece, this is not for you. This is to vent, to expel, to release the negativity from my heart, to heal from the damage you did, to make this land suitable for life someday. There is no poetry left for you. This piece is for me. Haiku. Being in the arts is all I ever wanted to do with my life. For my final piece, I'd like to do what I call America Noun. And it shows how I can look at more than just my own pain. So, America Noun. America. 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 Noun. From the Italian Amerigo, which itself is from the German Amalric or Heimrich, meaning work ruler or home ruler. America. Noun. From the English America, meaning conflict. Conflict with England, with Spain, with Mexico, with France, with Africa, with natives, with itself. America. Noun. From the American, meaning equality, freedom, liberty, and justice for all white male landowners. Not women, not people of color, not the homeless, just white male landowners. America. Noun. From the human, meaning change. Change the way we think, the way we rule, the way we represent, the way we live, the way we all live. America, noun, meaning potential, potential achievement, potential growth, potential to be the best possible version of you. America, meaning the best possible version of you. America. Where is the best possible version of you? When will you reach your potential? When will you grow? When will you change? When will you achieve liberty and justice for all? When will the conflict end? When will you stop fighting with yourself, with the world, with the universe? When will you live and let live? When will you love thy neighbor? When will you realize that anyone, that everyone can be an American? When will you know what America means? Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
I had a bunch of, like I said before, we're opening up the floor for questions, comments. So please feel free to share them, anybody who's watching, and we will deliver those to Jay. But I have several questions myself, and I had a bunch. And then you just did that last poem, which is that from this collection or is that from a previous one?
No, that's from this collection.
Awesome.
It's actually the last piece in this collection.
Great. Yeah. That one, I mean, a lot of them really resonated with me personally, but that one really, that one hits home for
Yeah.
reasons, right? Literally.
Yeah.
Home. um, it's like, uh, I think, like, obviously, I'm kind of, you know, uh, known about town as like a bit of an activist. And, you don't do that type of work unless you believe in America's potential and you're, constantly kind of disappointed by not reaching it.
Yeah.
And so I love how that poem speaks to that. What was there any particular um, inspiration for that poem in particular, or just kind of general?
The wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was an expression of how America's values shouldn't just be for Americans. That wasn't the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it used to be that we're supposed to be a shining beacon of democracy and, an example, which we
Exactly.
have actually been, but that was like at least the thought
Mm.
that we could be. And then, yeah, the last 4 years, not to get too political here, but the
Oh, I
last
don't mind.
kind of, I don't mind, obviously, I don't mind either, but, the last 4 years have kind of thrown all that out the window. So I think it's interesting that out of all of that, pain and agony, we can create great art that, that speaks to the moment. So that was really wonderful. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
So this collection is called Dark, and it's about exploring, the dark places in life and in relationships and within yourself. Um, what was it like to explore those kinds of dark places through poetry, and why was it important to explore those?
Well, what it was like, it was cathartic, really, to be able to write these pieces and get this pain out of me onto paper. I can speak it all I want, but it feels like it's still stuck in there until I put it on a piece of paper and make it, kind of sculpt it into something beautiful. And what was the other question?
Like, why was it important to explore those kind of themes?
It's important to shine a light on your dark places so that they go away. It's like the very first piece I read tonight, the title piece, The Dark. It says that you need to love your dark places, only then they can heal, only then they can leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's that whole, theme or phrase. I don't know who first came up with it, but the only thing that can conquer darkness is light. um, and using art as like a form of light to kind of expose the darkness and kind of, you're never going to get rid of it, but um, you can turn it into something that um, is livable and doesn't weigh you down so much. I think that's so important right now, especially, always, but right now especially, we're all living through such a dark time, and we're all having to I think it's a combination of like the whole world is really dark, but also we're stuck with our own dark thoughts and places because there's so much isolation and
Hmm.
so much, you get stuck in your head and stuff. So I think it's important to talk about that, and to the importance of getting it out and channeling it in some way so we don't have to be saddled with it. So thank you.
Exactly.
Have you gotten, like, what kinds of responses have you gotten? I know at the beginning you said that, one of the reasons why you wanted to do this, uh, explore these kinds of themes, is so that people know they're not alone
Hmm.
um, when they have their dark thoughts. So what kind of response have you received from people sort of connecting to that?
Well, it's been hard because of the conditions we're living in right now, to get out there with the work and to connect with people. But the few times that I've been able to, it's been very well received. Um, people, it really resonates with people that there are these dark moments and you can turn them into something beautiful and put them on display and not horrify the world, not alienate yourself. You know, I was doing an interview about a month back on a show called What the Book, and I performed a couple of pieces from Dark, only pieces, and another one I can't remember. But the people interviewing me were very pleased with the work. So hopefully, as we can get out there more, I can promote it more and connect more with more people.
Yeah, let's hope so. It's maybe kind of ironic. I think when people write about um, all different kinds of themes, some themes will connect with people in some ways, some others, but I feel like there's something in all of these pieces that you've just read, there's something that everybody can connect to in some way. Everybody's experienced a heartbreak, everybody's experienced, negative thoughts. And so um, it is nice. It's like a form of connection with people. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, thank you. Um, it seems like very um creating art and putting your art out there is all seems like a very vulnerable thing to do. I think especially some of the themes that you explored in with the pieces we heard tonight are very personal and about like particularly painful moments in your life. And so, um, can you talk about what it's like to kind of expose yourself in that kind of a vulnerable way? Like, what does that feel like?
Hmm. It's a good question. I never really gave it much thought. It's just what I've always done. I've always been out there. I'm always like, hey, this is me. Please accept me, you know? So being vulnerable has not really been as much of a challenge for me as it has with other people.
That's probably what makes you an artist.
Exactly.
You do a lot of different types of art, and this is a kind of a silly question, but like,
Mhm.
what is scarier to do? Is it scarier to write and perform your poetry? Is it scarier to be in a like a scripted play? Is it scarier to perform in like Wakefield Idol? They all seem very scary to me.
Yeah, no, Wakefield Idol is definitely the scariest. You know, I mean, I love singing. I absolutely love it. I'm good at it. I don't consider it my strongest one though. So I'm always a little extra critical on myself as far as the singing goes.
Mhm. But it's you gotta be brave to put yourself out there in that way. I've been thinking a lot lately about bravery and what that means, and like I've never really. Sometimes you just do things you don't think like, oh, that was actually like a very brave thing, or when you're in a play or whatever, you think, well, that's just what I do. I'm an actor. I'm in a play.
Mm.
It was actually like really brave to do that. So I've just been thinking about that, and I don't know, do you feel like brave when you do that, or when you read these pieces, or when you performed on Wakefield Idol?
Sometimes I feel brave. Other times I just feel moved. Like it's a necessary part of me
Hmm.
to be able to do this sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. um, I loved so many of the pieces, but you talked about the well, you explored um I feel like in a few of the different pieces that you read tonight, sort of dark places in relationships,
Hmm.
and relationships that ended badly or what have you, and but it seemed like you were writing the tone to me seemed like it was coming from a place of grace in a way, a place of um, like there was definitely a raw emotion there, but there was also a sort of almost empathy, it seemed, in the pieces, and I just wonder how is that possible? That's so those things that felt like a heartbreak or a lost friendship where the friendship just ended badly and there's no closure. Like it's so easy to hold on to that and have it become dark in a really negative way, in a really kind
Yeah.
of destructive way, and it can make your whole outlook bitter, towards people. But I didn't get that feeling from the pieces, so I just wonder how you're able to do that. Is that something you're conscious of?
No, it's not. I don't know how I am able to do that in the work. I just know that it's necessary to be able to move on. There are a lot of things that I haven't written about because I haven't figured out how to move on from them yet. And there are a lot of things that I've written about that I still haven't completely moved on from. But life goes on, whether you're in it or not. I have another piece. I don't remember if the piece is in this book or another one, but there's a line in it that says standing still is moving backwards because the world is always moving.
Mhm.
Life is always going. And if you're standing still, it's going on without you. So you need to learn how to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great it's a great lesson. It's really hard,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a great lesson.
Yeah. I remember this song by the great Billy Preston called Will It Go Round in Circles? And there's a line that I never got. He says, I got a story, ain't got no moral. Let the bad guy win every once in a while. And I never understood that because letting the bad guy win every once in a while, that's one of the most important morals you can learn. There was a Star Trek The Next Generation episode where Captain Picard tells the android Data that you can do everything right and still lose. That's not a malfunction or anything, that's just life.
Mm.
And it's an important lesson to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really, really important lesson to learn. Um, uh, you've in this performance tonight, you read several haiku,
Yes.
and I really enjoyed them. I like the form of haiku, but I think because it's so simple, I think people kind of trivialize it a little bit and make it
Hmm.
either a joke or just something just bland or silly or basic. And I felt like all of yours were really um they're substantial, like they had substance
Thank
to
you.
it.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder, like, how do you do that? How do you write a good like haiku that means something?
Practice.
Yeah.
I didn't read any of the silly ones I have tonight. I do have some silly ones, but I don't know. It's like I started with the first one that's in another book when I said, "Isn't it funny how normal conversation can become haiku?" Because sometimes you just start talking in that pattern. I
Mhm.
have another poem called Haiku Hell, which is in the first book of mine, Sifting Through the Ashes of Me. And it is a series of haiku that's just a conversation. And it's a conversation about how haiku can fit into a normal conversation.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I like that. I'm not, an expert in poetry, but like haiku is a nice form because it's really accessible and like anybody can write in that form. Uh,
Hmm.
but because I think in some ways because of that, like I said, it kind of they can come off as a little bit trivial sometimes. Um, but no, I felt like every single one you read, I was like, hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I was trying specifically for that, so I'm glad it worked.
Yeah, that's great. Um, so let's see. We only have like a few more minutes, but we're gonna go right up until the time. Why not? Let me see. I have a lot more questions, but we only have a couple minutes. So let's see. What's a good one? Um, what is your writing process like? Do you have like a steady routine? Do you write every day? Do you write in spurts, only when there's inspiration? Like how does somebody, I think like um writing is something that a lot of people probably aspire to do, but then the actual practice of like being able to do it in a way that you actually can create something
Hmm.
it's hard. So how do you do
Yeah.
that?
Well, I used to write every day. Way back in the day when I first started writing, I was putting out 3, 4, 5 pieces a day. And lately, it's only been in spurts when I get inspiration, but that's just that's just life kind of taking over, trying to work the different day jobs that I have, trying to express myself artistically in other ways, like my acting or my singing or the other things that I do. I don't make as much time for writing as I used to, but I'll get inspired and I'll scribble something down. And then when I have the time, I'll go back and I'll refine it.
Do you like what so I think at the beginning of this you said that you had sort of started writing poetry in high school. Is that right?
Yes.
What was it that um gave you the impetus to start writing poetry and then to kind of stay it with it?
Well, I was given an assignment in English class. The teacher, Dr. Paola, was also the head of the school's literary magazine, and he needed more pieces to fill a particular issue. So he had the class create, and I created a few pieces that day. And I just absolutely fell in love with the medium. I mean, I've loved Shakespeare since I was 12, and I've really been into Poe and Hughes and a lot of big names out there. So when I started doing it myself, I just absolutely, like I said before, it's catharsis. It was a release. And I think it's addicting. I think it's like a drug.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been thinking a lot about like art and artists and like all different forms of art and like how you interact and how they're different. And it's true. It's like you may have like an artist inside you somewhere, but there's a million different ways you could express that. But once you find your way, then that's kind of your way. So, no.
Yeah.
So can you tell us one more time how to find your work, your book?
Okay. Well, all four of my poetry books are on Amazon. So if you just put in the search engine J. Walker Poetry, you'll get a list of books, and there are mine in that list. But you'd be surprised how many J and Jason Walkers there are in just the country, never mind the world. So there's a few J Walkers there, but Mine are Sifting Through the Ashes of Me, Where I'm Coming From, Flower, and Dark.
Great.
There's also a bookstore run by my publisher. It's called Stillwater Books. It's on Main Street in Pawtucket, and they have copies of all my books too.
Great. Yes. Hey, you know what? Support your local bookseller. What was
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Stillwater Books
Stillwater Books.
in Pawtucket?
That's right.
Yeah, go ahead and check them out. Get those books and read some more of Jay's poetry. So, Jay Walker, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to hear your work and to get to spend some time with you and speak with you about poetry. And I hope everybody enjoyed the evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Great. Good night, everyone.